Wise Wednesdays started on April 1st with a humble episode on forgiveness. Between then and now, we've had heart-led conversations on happiness, stress management, relationships, resilience, public speaking, respecting boundaries, self-discovery, mindset, just being, listening, reclaiming your life, intuition, and even food. I would like to thank all my listeners and the guests who gave me their time and trust. It is because of you that we kept going. It is because of you that we kept growing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so, so much.
Hello, hello. Welcome to episode 66 of Wise Wednesdays with RK. My name is Ruqya Khan. I come from the world of words and I'm on a mission to create an impact one conversation at a time. Today, I am super excited because my guest, my star guest, my speaker for today is Rohit Bassi. He helps in developing leadership communication through mindfulness. He's passionate, he speaks from the heart. He calls himself an introvert, but I doubt that because I've seen him on stage and he came along with a brick and lots of good ideas. So, without further ado, I bring to you, because we've already got friends waiting, I bring to you Rohit. Hey.
Hey, how's everyone doing? Thank you so much for allowing me to be on your show. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohit, for saying yes. Totally honored, and I am so excited about the conversation today. And what are we talking about today? We are talking about stop being in a container of mindset. Yes. What does that even mean? Oh, and before that, let me first acknowledge everyone who's here. We've got Coach Sohail on board. We've got Joe who's watching. We've got Kunen. We've got amazing friend from the coaching community and speaking community on board. Thank you everyone for joining us and for giving us your time. Once again, Rohit, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, mindset, you said, stop being in a container of mindset. Let me, there's a phrase which I learned from Bruce Lee. I mean, I'm a fan of Bruce Lee, you know, being a child, being a fan of Bruce Lee. And I know a lot of people out there are a fan of Bruce Lee, even a fan of Jackie Chan, I would say. And Bruce Lee used to say something very interesting. He used to say, "Be water, my friend. Be water." Now, I find that just the way he used to say it in his accent and the way he used to deliver it, very powerful. Because if you look at water, it has this great ability to adapt to anything. It's adaptable, flexible, versatile. You put it in a glass, it takes that shape. You put it in a cup, it takes that shape. You put it in a saucer, it takes that shape. You throw it on the floor, it takes that shape. You throw it in the soil, it nourishes the soil. Yeah, in every way whatsoever, it's so adaptable, versatile, and flexible. And I been hearing this word mindset for such a long time, and I've never been able to resonate to it. I hear speakers, trainers, a lot of people use it. I hear leaders, managers, or people who are self-proclaimed gurus, or even the entrepreneurs or the fake gurus. They also use this word mindset. And then you go further deeper into it. They divide it into fixed mindset or growth mindset. And I was like sitting there last year saying, you know, I had all these thoughts going through my head, and I was like, how do I express this? Because it's been going through my mind for a long time. So I wrote an article about it. I started doing my own, and I thought, it's not about mindset. I know there's a lot of research being done on it, but that word mindset is not resonating with me whatsoever. What resonated with me was when I heard Bruce Lee, and suddenly I said, mind flow. Let your mind flow. Now, the truth is, I've seen myself and I've seen many other people who have followed this so-called formula of be in the growth mindset. yet nothing happens for them, or something happens and it collapses. The truth is, success, change, growth, it's not set. It has its own direction and no one can control it. You can put as much as hard work you want into something. You can work smart, you can let go, and still you may not be successful at what you want to be successful in. So how can you say that you got to have a mindset for success, mindset for growth, mindset for change? You rather be in a state of mind flow. Mind flow simply being like water. And like I said, water flows. Now, if you look at water, when it's constructive, it flows in a proper direction, in a proper way, in a path, and used in a diligent, productive manner, you become very constructive. On the other hand, if water is all over the place, like a tsunami, like a flood, it's destruction. But then if water is set, i.e. like your mindset, what happens? It smells, it reeks of foulness. It's not pleasant. Why would anyone want to be set in such a way? Therefore, for me, it makes more sense to be in mind flow, because even with people so I know people who have not been, who are what people define as success in the material term, are not successful in those terms, but are successful in terms of wisdom, in terms of having a loving family, in terms of having great relationships, in terms of, gathering people and becoming a community. Just because they have not got the materialistic success, they say the mindset they have is a very fixed mindset. Their mindset is not in the right direction. Their mindset is messed up. No, it's just their mind is flowing very successful in certain parts, and certain parts it's not that successful. Everyone loves success. Everyone wants to gain success, yet sometimes it's not possible, no matter how much hard work we do. And that's the bitter truth. Whatever anyone wants to say, that's the bitter truth. You may put as much as hard work you want, as much as smart work you want, and you can also let go, but it's not necessary you will get the success which you want to achieve. This is where I would say there's some kind of higher intervention which is not allowing you to go towards that direction. Okay, now people might say that's a bit googa, but that's up to them. But that's what I've experienced in my life, and that's what I've seen from other people around me who have gone through similar scenarios. That there is something which is greater, which controls everything. And for those people who think you can control your mind, forget it. No one can control the mind. That's the most lame and stupid thing which anyone can think of. What you can do is befriend your mind. Be a friend with your mind. And once you're friends with your mind, you better understand how you are operating. So sometimes people ask me, hey, what do you mean the mind? Well, often people say the mind is this instrument in the head, the brain. The mind is far more. The way I see it, the mind is the physical and the non-physical. The mind is everywhere. And one of the things which we are conditioned from a young age, and I'm not going to even use the word belief, conditioned. We are conditioned to navigate only a certain part of the mind. So imagine the mind as an endless map. And from a young age, the way we've been brought up by our parents, the way we've been brought up by education, the media, and so forth, our caretakers, we are only taught to navigate in a certain part of the mind. And as we grow up, we start learning we want to venture out of this part of the mind, but the conditioning which we have, it keeps us in that part of the mind. There are people who break through it. So Coach Sohail, who is on the call, break patterns, that's what he talks about. So people are able to break through it. Yet still, what happens is we still have, some of us we still are associated to that old navigation. Yeah. Some people completely bake through it. Some people come back, go in, come back, go in, come and go in. So it's something which you are feel safe in, or you led to believe that's the safe part. So when you get out of the mind and you start exploring the rest of the map of the mind, uh, it's endless. And this is where you discover that there are parts of the mind which are not great, which is not a great place to be in, and there are parts of the mind which is like flourishing, which is amazing. And as individuals, we have a habit, as humans, we have a habit, we just want to be in the flourishing part. And the truth is, we will not always be in the flourishing part. So that's my thought process.
That's your thought process.
Is the interview finished? Okay, bye. See you, everyone.
No. Because when we think of Rohit, we think of ROI. And I want to know what it is and how it started. I know it, but I want my listeners to know, because I'm sure they're curious.
Okay. So initially when I started, this was in 2011, the company which I formed was called In Learning. Think, act, and achieve. That was the slogan behind it. In learning, think, act, and achieve. And then later on, this was a number of years ago, I think it was about maybe 4 years ago, I just was sitting down in Vietnam on the bed, and I said, no, I want to change this. And the thought process came into, what came into mind was, how about calling it ROI Talks, ROI Talks. Now, the reason why I did that was very, very, very simple. At home, people call me Roy, ROI. So Roy Talks is Rohit talking. In a business context, it made great sense. ROI, meaning return on investment. Also, I call it return on inner peace, return on intimacy. You can have variations of it, but that's how the whole concept of ROI Talks came up. That's what I'm going to rebrand it to, ROI Talks.
It's very interesting. There's so many similarities between what you speak of and what you stand for, and also my own journey, because RK Writes, the page that I came up with, was where I would started to put up my quotes, because I used to put them on those Facebook statuses, and my friends would say, hey, this is good stuff, you need to put your name against it. And so that's how it just segued into creating my own quotes and putting them on the Facebook page, RK Writes. Also, when you say ROI, the hashtag I use is return on intention.
Yep.
Because I feel everything is all about intention, right? If you have a good intention, you get the returns in terms of good vibes, in terms of good relationships, in terms of blessings.
Yes.
I think that's so important.
Yep. I agree with you. So one of the things which, as you're aware, earlier in this in January, I was hospitalized because I had severe COVID. And I bring this up, not for, oh, poor me or anything. No, it's got nothing to do with it. Neither would I want anyone to say sorry to me for that. Because that's one thing, it doesn't make saying sorry it happened to me. It's an incident which happened to me. And from that incident, that experience, something else happened with myself. For many years, I was very unclear in what exactly do I do. Clarity was missing. That incident, I mean, okay, yes, physically and mentally, caused a lot of pain, but it gave me clarity on what do I stand for, what I resonate for. I wouldn't say what I fight for, but fighting is not something which I agree with, is what I resonate for, what I connect with. And I was listening to, because I was unable to breathe, and I remember Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a Zen monk, Vietnamese monk. I remember many years ago, I'd listened to him and I've listened to his other talks. And one of the things he used to talk about is mindfulness and breathing. And while I was in hospital, I started listening to that again. And it was breathe in, breathe out. This is all you have. And as I was listening to that, and later on, as I was recovering, I came across what they call in the Far East is the Four Noble Truths. And the Four Noble Truths talk about, the first thing they talk about is there is suffering. Now, I knew about these Four Noble Truths before, but I was like, what the hell? There is suffering? What kind of deranged thing is this? But lying there on the bed, that was the first time I really could scrape the surface and understand what it meant. For me, when I was listening to Thich Nhat Hanh, when he said there is suffering, he also said, but life is full of abundance. Okay? And no matter what we do in life, you will you will have some kind of suffering. Now, people misunderstand the word suffering very, very much. Suffering could be translated into challenges, issues, problems, expectations not being met. Yeah, setbacks. Yeah, so all coming under one thing called there is suffering. Now, with suffering, the second noble truth is you can actually stop the suffering. But in order to stop the suffering, you need to have clarity on what is making you suffer, what is making you uncomfortable, what is not meeting your expectations. Okay, and then the fourth noble truth is having that conviction that yes, it is possible. Maybe you can't see the whole solution. Maybe you can see only 0.1 of the solution. At least there's 0.1 conviction that it is possible to resolve it. Yeah. And then the fourth noble truth, and this is where it was like clicked on me straight away. The path is compassion. And unfortunately, people consider compassion to be weak, lame, pity, when it's none of that. Compassion can be very hurtful because compassion makes you realize the extremes you do in life, i.e. you run away from problems or you go towards pleasure, pain, pleasure, pain, pleasure, pain, pleasure. But compassion gets you into the middle part saying, hey, there will be life, there will be pain in life, there will be pleasure in life. What you need to is come to the middle path. And when you come to the middle path, you are able to see those extremes. And when you're able to see those extremes, you're able to be calm and collective. Now, this is an ongoing journey. It's not like you've had this revelation and yes, I'm enlightened. No, now you are actually need to go and apply it in your life. It can happen on anything. For example, let's say your husband gets upset with you, or your parents get upset with you, or your kids get upset with you. In one way or the other, you feel unrest, uncomfortable. Now, it may not be like suffering like someone beating you up, but still there's pain in you. On the other extreme, you've lost your job. Yeah. Then you might have this thing like, for example, you love to play your video games, but you can't be playing video games all the time. You might have to do other activities. So that's the pleasure part of it. Or you might love to swim all day long. Now, you may not have the opportunity to swim all day long because that's what gives you most. So you have to find that middle path. You have to have that awareness, that wisdom, that compassion to say, okay, nothing is permanent, impermanence, nothing is permanent. So what is happening now, or what is going on, whatever pain I'm going through now, will not always be there. You will pass through this as well. This pleasure, this joy which I'm having, you will pass through this as well. So come back to the middle path. That's what it's all about. And that's that really hit me. And that hit me because in 2018, I did a TEDx talk on compassion. I flew over to Qatar and I did a talk on the miracle of compassion. And when I did that, a number of people in my circle who are no longer a part of my circle now, they disassociated with me because I spoke about compassion. And I was very surprised that what would make people not look at compassion? They just said that this is lame. It's useless.
Can you
It's
tell
wishy-washy.
me the title of the talk again, please?
So the first TEDx talk was The Miracle of Compassion. So it's on the TED.com website. So it's on the TED.com platform. So that was it. Now, with what's happened with me recently, it was strange enough. I was meant to do another TEDx talk last year, and it was about a different topic. And because of, we know what's happened around the globe, it was cancelled. Then in November, in Dubai, the TEDx over here, connected with me again, say, look, we're going to do the TEDx again. Would you like to do it? It's in February. I said, yeah, definitely, no worries. Okay. Now, come January, I'm getting emails saying, could you send your details and everything? I said, look, I'm in hospital. I'm going to be, and I was sure I'm going to be out or not out. I wasn't actually. It was very confusing. I said, just give me a week or two. I'm in hospital. I'm not very well. I got out. I gave my details. And next thing you knew, I do another TEDx talk in April here in Dubai. And again, it was on compassion. So it was, and I was really happy I get to speak on compassion again. So the miracle of compassion was the first chapter. The one which I did in April was an appointment with life, taking refuge in the Four Noble Truths. And again, it's about compassion. And this is where, if you look at the connection which it has, stop being in a container of mindset. Compassion actually teaches you to be versatile, flexible. You may not have the solution, but you will discover the solution. And yes, on the way, you will get hurt. Let's be real about it. You will get hurt. But as long as you take the path of compassion, you will be able to pass through. And it can be very difficult. It can be very difficult. The incidences which happen in my life where I get very angry, very upset, and I say to myself, where's the compassion? Okay. If not on the other person, have self-compassion. It all starts with self-compassion, because the moment you get angry with yourself, you are poisoning yourself. And yes, you say to yourself, I'm angry, I'm upset, but you still are poisoning yourself. And what are you doing? Even from a biological, scientific perspective, the moment you get angry, your body stiffens, you stop breathing properly, your stress hormones go high, you're basically killing yourself. That's what you're doing.
Yep. We've got questions come in. We've got questions from Kunain. Thank you for the questions, guys. Kunain says, what type of practices do you recommend for mind management?
What type of practices do you recommend for mind management? I need more clarity what you mean by that. I need more clarity. Give me a bit more specifics. What do you mean by mind management? I need a bit more clarity on that. So then I'll be able to answer. I just need a bit more context to that.
Okay, so while Kunain types that in, we have another question from Rohit, and Rohit has just typed in, so I know he's listening as well. So Rohit says, human compassion is missing these days. Do you believe that, Rohit?
I actually believe that's untrue. Everyone has compassion in them. We are given this superpower as a child, yet it's not taught to be honed in. It's not polished. It's not cherished, because again, people think it's weak. As a child, we have a natural trait of being compassionate. With what's happened over this, over this 18 months across the globe, you will hear stories of compassion left, right, and center. People helping each other out. If that is not compassion, what is that? And they're not doing it because they will get an accolade, or they will be on social media, or they'll be in the news. It's because the human, the divine inside is saying, I need to help, I need to serve, and I need to support. So it exists. It may be less, but it exists in everyone. It's just being in those incidences which sparks it. Everyone has it. Even the most ruthless person has compassion in them.
Which is interesting you use that word, because Kunain's next question was, great point, Rohit. What about ruthless?
Okay, so I've done a video on this. I've done a couple of videos. I've done an article on this. This phrase which is coined, it makes me ugh. Okay, ruthless and compassion are opposite of two things. If you're compassionate, you can't be ruthless. If you're ruthless, you can't be compassionate. Simple as that. It doesn't register in my thought process. I've heard people in business use this terminology. You got to have ruthless compassion. And when the first time I heard this, I was like, what do you mean by ruthless compassion? And I was told, like, for example, somebody's not doing good work, doing well in the company. You need to let them know that they're not doing good at work and just tell them off. And I was like, well, you can tell them, give them feed forward in a more compassionate way rather than being ruthless. I had someone working with me and I gave them opportunities over the year to improve their performance. At the end of the year, I said, I have to let go of you. And he was, no, boss, please let me stay. I said, look, you can see that you're not performing and I've given you enough opportunities. What I will do for you is I will help you redo your CV. I will distribute your CV to a few people and let's take it from there. And I'm giving you enough ample time. You know, I can, if I want, I can let you go now, but I'm going to give you another 2 months with me. So you have that financial thing coming for you and then you can leave. I'm just being compassionate because financially he required it. So for me, that ruthless compassion doesn't work. You can put any science behind it. I'll be switched off. You may call, so somebody might on the call say, hey, isn't that a mindset you have towards it? No, those two words just are not gelling together. Words are very powerful. You have to remember words are very, very powerful. There's a book called Words Can Change Your Brain. In that book, the author has researched and done on a simple example, a very, very simple example. If Ruqya, if I was to say to you, if you were to ask something for me and I was to say no, two things are going to happen. Your stress hormones are going to go up. And guess what? Me as the speaker, my stress hormones are going to go up as well.
Yours as well?
Yeah, both ways. And I was like, what? You know, so it was very surprising when I heard that. So we unfortunately from a young age are conditioned in a very unwholesome way. I'm going to use the word unwholesome, not bad or good, unwholesome. We know when something is wholesome and we know when something is unwholesome. We never require science or facts and figures to tell us. We just know it. Yeah. We know when we have done something unwholesome. We know when we've done something wholesome. And there's a degree of variation, like this is 98% wholesome, you know, or this is 100% unwholesome. We know it.
It's like you intuitively know that
yeah,
what's
we
good
know
for
it.
you, what isn't. So we have Kunen who's added to his question that he was asking. He says we live either in our past memories or in the future imagination. How to ensure to keep the mind in the present all the time?
Oh.
That's what he meant by mind management.
Nice.
Thank you.
So here's what happens is, which I was talking about, pain or pleasure. We live in a world of craving or aversion. We want to avert. We're going to run away from pain, and we want to run towards pleasure. Okay, and we live in this ignorance of aversion or craving. Now, I was very fortunate. A couple of months ago in May, I became a monk in Dubai. What do I mean by that? I went for a Vipassana course, which is a 10-day meditation or mindfulness course. And they talk about aversion, they talk about craving, and they talk about the ignorance and how we are not in the middle path, how we are running after pain or pleasure. One of the things which I learned from there, I've done other meditations, but this has been very powerful for me and very helpful, because most meditations ask you to focus on an object or focus on a symbol, or what is your intention for the meditation? What do you want to manifest? Vipassana says, forget about everything. Put that aside, because now you're getting the mind. You're manipulating, you're mentally telling the mind, I want this. What Vipassana just says is, there's only one thing you have, two things which you need to be aware of. One is, there's only one thing which you can do is breathe. Yeah. When you're dying, you realize the importance of breath. You really do. That's one thing. And when you're breathing, you also feel sensation in your body. Two things you look at. You breathe, and it can be shallow, heavy, doesn't matter. There is no like, or, control breathing. Just breathe, flow. Some people can't breathe in the natural flow. It's fine. For them, that's a natural breath. While you're breathing, you start feeling the sensation around your body. And you will start realizing there are parts of your body which you've never even realized before. They're in pain or in agony. Yeah. So what that allows you to do is allows you to come in the present moment. The now it allows you to come. And this is something, again, we've never been conditioned from a young age to do this. Now, when we attempt to do it, oh God, do I have to really spend half an hour? Oh, You got half an hour to browse on the internet. You've got half an hour to watch Netflix. I'm saying there's absolutely fine if you want to do that. How about just instead of learning, start taking care of this body? Not learn meditation. Meditation allows you to take care of your body. And so this is where, and so specifically in Vipassana or in the Buddhist tradition, they call this mindfulness. And it's a very strange word, mindfulness. Your mind is full, but no, it doesn't mean that. It just means you're in the now. You see reality how it is. You see as if this person is hitting me and it's hurting me. That's what the truth is. If there is killing, there is rejoice going outside in the world. That's how the reality is at the moment. Be in the reality, be in the now. And meditation allows you to come back. Now, some people say, oh, I did meditation and didn't work back. Now, clarification on this. For so many years of our lives, we've not done this. And now suddenly we do it. We want miracles to happen like this. It's not a magic pill. If you're looking for a magic pill, there's no such thing as a magic pill. The thing is, we've not been conditioned to do that. When we get conditioned to it, we realize, and this is a sense which has growing up with me since May, is I realize, yeah, I was mindful before, but I wasn't that mindful. I was not even touching the surface. But now I'm realized there's so many things which I'm doing is like I'm not mindful of things. So mindful in terms of when you're doing the meditation and when you come out of meditation, so you have your set time, you want to do it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, start off somewhere. And there's no forcing on it. And I'll explain when I mean there's no forcing to it. So it's not just sitting there and doing the meditation. What are you doing day to day? So when I'm talking to you now, how am I expressing myself? How am I using my body language? What is my intention? What is my view? What is the effort? What is the discipline I'm putting behind this? So what they call this is in the Far East, following the eightfold path. Yeah. So you're mindful every second of your life, not just during meditation. Because this is what happens. A lot of us, and I've seen this happen to me. I'm meditating. It's like, geez, this meditation is not working. I'm meant to be thoughtless. No. Meditation says, let the thoughts come. Yeah, they're there. They were meant to come. Yeah, because you need to clean your BS. And by BS, there's two meanings to it. Obviously, the BS or belief systems, whichever you want to use. So meditation is about clearing yourself up, cleaning yourself up. Just like you go and have a shower. I hope people have a shower every day. I trust they have it to cleanse themselves. Otherwise, we can get diseased. In the same way, what about the mind? We have been diseased in the mind through so much programming and conditioning from other people that when we come at a certain age, we have a conflict between what's our inner core value and what we've been taught. So meditation helps us to get to that point. And this is what help, and you need to be doing it on a regular basis. So when I was in Vipassana and they were saying, ideally we would like you to go back and do this twice a day, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. Now, I'm not always able to achieve it. And they said, never to force yourself. This is not a ritual. You need to be mindful. So you need to be conscious of what you're doing. So while you're sitting and thoughts are coming, let them come. It's perfectly fine. I remember during the class, one of the students said, nothing's happening. And the teacher said, what are you expecting? Are you expecting some kind of light? Are you expecting some kind of enlightenment? None of that is going to happen. It's very real. None of that's going to happen because there's too much clutter happening in the north. Too much clutter. And meditation is allowing you to clean the clutter away, give you that clarity. First, you've got to have the courage to do it.
Yep.
When you have the courage, clarity starts coming. When you have the clarity, you start having the conviction, ooh, there's something in here. And when you have the conviction, guess what? You start becoming more compassionate towards yourself and other people.
Sorry, I just had to write that down. That's a point not to be missed. Thank you so much, Rohit. I remember reading that post about Vipassana, and how you expressed yourself. The words were so powerful. It was almost like, um, the way you had written it just spoke to me. And that is why I again reached out to you. I said, hey, Rohit, I just have to have you on the show. Because for me, reading that post was more like, here's someone who's been through something so dynamic. It's like it's touched his soul. So having you on board was something I was really, really looking forward to. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So now the Rohit that we were speaking to earlier has posted a comment. He says positive stories of human compassion are there, but negative stories also suggest that today the compassion has become a trade point for others to take the advantage of other people who are compassionate, isn't it?
Rohit, I'm going to completely agree with you. For some of the listeners who I'm aware of, and I was talking to Ruqya, to you about this before as well, just before we started. They are people who use compassion as a disguise to make a fool out of you. But sooner or later, the truth does come out. So if you look, there is impermanence, i.e., nothing is permanent. Change is constant. So if nothing is permanent, that things are constant. Look at it. So impermanent. If we look at the word impermanence itself. Look at the world itself. What's happened with COVID? I was avoiding the word COVID and I used it. Damn. Okay. Yeah. So something happened in the beginning of 2019, or even in 2000, in the end of 2019, and then it escalated
Shall
to,
not be named.
yeah, and is escalated to what? So things are no longer the way they were before. Everything is impermanent. Look at our bodies. We're not babies. We're grown adults now. Oh yeah, our brains might be working like a 12-year-old child, but we are changed. We're constantly changing. Look at a simple thing. For example, in the day, you've got sun, and by the evening, you've got the moon, day to night. Things are changing, impermanent and constant change. And then comes one of the most important things. So you've got impermanence, you've got change, and the third thing which comes into play is cause and effect. So what in the Indian culture they call is the law of karma. Karma might come late, but it will come and bite you, or within your loved ones, if you are going to do unwholesome acts upon others. Yes, people might say, that's very wishy-washy. And this is where the compassion part comes in, where you have to stay in a state of compassion, and karma will play its role when it needs to play that role. But it will come in, the cause and effect will happen. If I was to ask you, Ruqya, to go and touch the hot stove, what will happen to you?
I'll get hurt.
You'll get hurt. Cause and effect, cause and effect. Yeah. So,
and you know what? I think, sorry to interrupt you. Yes.
Go on,
No,
please.
what I was saying was, a lot of times people who are compassionate, and they get tired. They feel a little drained after a point where they feel like, I'm constantly giving, but what's going on with me? And I think just knowing that there is a law of karma, there is cause and effect, can be that savior to compassion, because people who are compassionate should also remember that it will come back. Doesn't have to be in this lifetime, doesn't have to be for you. It could be for your children, it could be wherever. It's just a ripple effect that you're creating.
It's so true. So it is very, very true. And when you're in state of the present, the now, when you have no expectation, it's very clear that's what happens. When I got out of hospital, and one of my mentors, who is a Dr. Segu Ramesh, wonderful, wonderful guy, I call him Doc Uncle. He was a medical doctor, orthopedics. And one of the things which when he was orthopedics, he used to ensure, according to what he's told me, and is that 95% of the time he would not do surgery on his patients, because he would find other ways for them to actually get healed. Not that he had anything against surgery. It's just said the body has the ability to heal themselves. Now, the other thing when I got out of hospital is, so when I told him what happened with me, he told me, "You've had a near-death experience." I was like, "Really?" You know, I was still in a very strange place, and he, again, being a doctor, a medical doctor, highly qualified, he starts talking to me about karma and cause and effect. Yeah, and I'm like, and he says, "It is your." He said, "Yes, we can give definitely recognition to the medical fraternity to help you out, but it's also what the cause and effect which has happened in your lifetime, which has got you till this point, which you got you into that state, and which has got you out of that state as well, wherever the possibilities were going to take you." And you can really go deep into this topic, really, really deep into it. And that's like another show.
Welcome for that one. And the reason I'm smiling so, wide is because in 2018 March, I was in a car crash.
Wow.
The kind of car crash which involved nobody.
Hmm.
I was driving on the highway getting to Abu Dhabi, and suddenly my car swirls to the right, and I go crashing into the boulders on the side. My car literally crunched into half,
Hmm.
and where my body started, Rohit, in the car, was where the damage stopped for the car.
Wow.
And the car right behind me, there was nobody involved with me. I don't know what had happened. It just happened.
Hmm.
I literally opened the door and came out, and the woman who stopped the car right after mine, she says, later on when I spoke to her, she says, when you came out of the car, it looked like you were held by angels.
Wow.
And when we went to collect the car from the scrapyard, because obviously they had to rush me off to the hospital in an ambulance, but when my husband came and he went to pick up the car from the scrapyard, the guy at the gate said, "Is this driver alive?" Nobody expected I would come out of that car in one piece.
Hmm.
I didn't have a single scratch on my body, a
Yeah.
single scratch. My abaya had that imprint of the seat belt, but nothing. I did my live that day, for heaven's sakes. I did my
Wow.
live that day because I was scared my kids would get worried. So, not a scratch.
And this
Un-
was which year?
this was 2018 March. This
So this
was
was quite recent only then.
very, very recently, yes. And yeah, so people ask me, why do you show up every day and do the lives? I went through a challenge of my own. Like the last 10 days were tough. In fact, even last week when I was doing Wise Wednesdays, I was sipping on hot water because I was coughing badly. But why don't you take a break? It gives a purpose to my day. It just gives a purpose to my day, and I show up as best as I can with all sincerity to the cause, because I don't, just because I'm not at 100%, it doesn't mean that I would kind of cut down on it, maybe because I don't have any viewers watching. No, I'm just very mindful of the fact that whoever needs to receive the message will, and they will receive it as best as I possibly can deliver it.
I mean, see, when I was 10 years old, I was hit by a truck in India. I was used to study in India. I was hit by a truck. I've got a massive scar. If everyone, so usually when people see me in this haircut, that's the first remark they make is, "Ooh, what's that design you've got over there?" So my usual, like I go into this macho mode. I saved some girls. I got stabbed in the head, which just to start a conversation. But I got massive stitches over here, and where I was in India was in a place called Himachal Pradesh, Dalhousie, and I was hit by an army truck. Now, I was taken to a clinic. They could not take me to a hospital because the closest hospital was about 50, maybe 50, 60 kilometers away. So they took me to the closest clinic. They operated to me in the clinic, and the doctors said, "This guy's," and I heard them say this. I was 10 years old. He's not going to live. And I woke up, I woke up the next day. I was like deluded and everything. But again, there is something else which protects you, or there is a divine, whatever people want to call it, there is a divine force around all of us.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to that cause and effect, we may say, hey, but that person's getting away with this, that person's getting away with this, that person's getting away. That's the time when you need the most mindfulness for yourself. Be in the present moment. And if there's one thing which I would say to anyone who's listening, you have children, get them into that state now, because when they get to our age, they will not be facing the same problems like we do. They will say, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's fine.
I do agree with you. I'm so proud of the conversations I can have with my kids, and so often they've brought me to an awareness just by asking me simple questions, you know. And I like the fact that they don't feel afraid to ask me that. And yes, there was a time I pushed them away, saying I'm your mother, but they didn't take that for an answer. And I'm so grateful for that. So yes, I do agree with you. It's important to make sure your children are on that same page with you. Yes, so important. So we are coming close to the end of our conversation. We got another 15 minutes. So
Yep.
tell me a little bit about you, and who was Rohit, and how did you actually get on this journey of touching lives and creating leadership and all the work that the amazing work that you do? Was there a transition, or did you always know this was what you wanted to do?
Um, uh, if anyone looks at my LinkedIn profile, they will know that what I'm doing, I never used to do this before. I am a technical geek. I am an IT geek. I have been in the IT, I was in the IT field before I started this. While being in IT, I realized human behavior plays a massive part, or communication, how we communicate, plays a massive part in how we destroy relationships or build relationships and develop relationships, not with just other people, but with ourselves. So often people, one of the things which I'm very well known is, how does one become a great public speaker, a presenter? you know and then how does one, as a leader, you become great at your communication, in inspiring, motivating, getting your team with you?
You know
And
this
I
is
always
something
come from a
that
point of compassion.
Yep.
I always come from a point of compassion. uh, and when I'm doing this, I always say to my delegates, my students, is there's no need to copy anyone else. You're not special, I'm not special, no one is special. But here's the thing, all of us are unique. Every single individual, even biologically, if we look at it, we're unique.
Yes.
So what you need to do is, when you do your communication, it has to be unique, and it has to have compassion attached to it. And this is where the whole journey starts. And this is where one of my students, who was 12 years old, he's now in university, I think it's at Oxford University, if I'm not mistaken. And his mother, till date, makes a point once in a year or twice a year, she'll call me up, tell me how he's doing, and always thanks me, saying, just because he was coached by you on this, how to build your confidence through public speaking, he's been able to really show his communication skills, his confidence through that. And so this is how it all started. And the reason why I moved from the technical field to this was because technology keeps on changing. Yeah, I remember there used to be MCSCs, Microsoft certified support engineer, and all you had these different levels of certifications, and you every time had to redo them. And one thing which is very, very tough and complex, at the same time very simple, is human behavior. If one can understand or even touch the hearts, even the surface of human behavior, we as a society, as a community, can really evolve. For example, I'll just give an example. So there's a lot of things now, yeah, and this is discussion we were having this afternoon during my meet with some of the coaches, and we're talking about the space adventures which have been happening in the last 2 weeks with these people going into space. Firstly, if you look at it, they did not go into space. They went into the high altitude. So they did not go into space. Secondly, in one way, it's great that this has happened, but this was done over 60 years ago. And this is now being done by private companies. In these 60 years, we have not been able to resolve a simple thing of poverty and shelter for the poor. And we are going into space. To me, that is not progress. Personally, that's not progress to me. It's great it's happened. It's not progress because we cannot take care of simple human needs. As a society, as a conscious collective, we are useless by not doing this for our own humankind. We have not evolved as humans. So this is why human behavior it fascinates me. It really, really fascinates me. Look at nowadays, if somebody posts something on Facebook, wow, there must be a star. Oh, I don't have enough likes. I don't have enough comments. And a number of the clients which I have got, they've looked at my stuff. They may have not liked it. They may have not written a comment, but they've said to me, I saw your video. That's why I want to talk to you. Simple as that. They don't want to subscribe to my channel, or they don't want to subscribe to other things. It's just one of those things. Now, it's great you've got subscriptions. It's great you've got followings. It's great you've got engagement. The thing is, how are you contributing, serving, supporting, and helping each other to evolve as a human race? What are you doing? That's the reason why I think that was like the pull that came into me doing this as a profession.
Beautiful. So Rohit, on the quote I spoke about today was focus on your slice of life. How would you interpret it?
Interesting. Tell me what you mean. To you, what does it mean? Focus on your slice of life.
So when I spoke about it earlier today, the emphasis was on focusing on what you've been given.
Okay.
Sometimes, I mean, that's how I interpreted it, because sometimes, and I asked you this question because you were talking about the likes and the followership and all of that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we're so driven by checking what the other guy has on their plate. How big is their slice of cake?
Yes.
Does it have the chocolate curls on it? Does it have the strawberries on it? So focus on
it's like, going into a restaurant, you order your food and you see this other dish go by. Oh, that looks better than mine.
You should have ordered that. Yeah.
Yeah, I should have ordered that. Yeah, I totally understand what you say. It again comes down to the base of the topic. Stop being in a container of mindset. So recently, one of my friends gave me tarot cards. Yeah, I was like, oh, it's interesting. And I was looking at the tarot cards. I got very intrigued, and I thought, okay. And when I looked at the tarot cards, and every tarot card has a meaning. People misunderstand tarot cards by saying it's a prediction. No, it's just a guidance. It's just for fun. It's looking at your inner energy. That's what it is. So if anyone says they can predict your future, ask them, were you able to predict COVID? Yeah. Well, please never fall for that. No one can ever predict your future. What people can help you see is find out what's happening with your energy, what's really going inside you. So when I got the cards and I was looking at the cards and I saw this and I was thinking about mindset, and I'll bring a couple of these cards out. And this goes with the focus on your life quote, is many times we're so set in our ways that we start breaking our own houses. So this is called the tower. You start collapsing your own life. That's what happens. So
Right.
we're so much like he's doing that doing that. I need to be like that. Where's the focus? Okay. So then the next card, which really got to me, is when I look at mindset, is temperance. Be patient. Be in flow. Look at the water. Be in flow. Be calm. Be collective. Be patient. Okay. So this is mind flow. Now, when you're in mind flow, and what I say is that three things happen. The first thing, which is when you're in mind flow or you start venturing thinking about mind flow, is first thing is you get into a state of ikigai. Now, most people confuse ikigai with a vocation with which I get paid for. Ikigai can happen in anything and everything. It could be happening in meditation. It could be happening while, if you like gardening, it could be happening while you're cooking. It can happen. You can have multiple ikigais. So it's like ikigai is like being a magician, having the tools and mixing the ingredients to make a flourishing life or different aspects of your life. So you're like a magician for your own life. Then what happens is, so you've got ikigai, and the next thing is when you start looking at this is something which they call Soshin. Soshin, and these are Japanese terminologies which I've used in my talks as well. And Soshin, it basically means be a beginner, have the strength to realize that it's okay to be a beginner. And even if you've experienced, it's fine to be a beginner. So have the strength, be courageous and be strengthful, and say, stop letting your ego come in the way. Stay focused, stay focused, stay focused. And finally, be a hermit. Take the time out. Yeah. Relax. What they call in Japanese is kitsugi. Kitsugi means the lovely vase which is broken, they fill it with gold and silver. And that gold and silver to me is compassion. So have compassion with yourself. Go back, sit in your cave if you need to, and relax. Take it easy. So to me, this is what this focus on your own pie means, is when you start focusing on there's absolutely everything great to look at what other people are doing, but come back to see what's happening with you. And I'm very guilty of this. There's sometimes I say I'm not blessed at all. I'm not fortunate at all. And then I have some family members, and they look at me and they say, really, you're not blessed? You're not fortunate? And that's all they do to me. And I was like, okay, I need to think about what I'm saying. So when I'm doing that, that means I'm not focusing on my pie. I'm looking at someone else's pie, and I want their pie. And that pie may not necessarily be healthy for me, or be wholesome for me, but it's wholesome for them. So focus on your pie, which is wholesome for you. So that's what it means to me.
Thank you. And before we close, we have one last question.
Go on.
From Kunan. He says, how to know what's my identity or what's my purpose so that I can contribute to the humanity? Solid question to close
very,
with.
Very solid question. The way I've looked at it, so it's taken me time to see and it evolves. As things go on, we start evolving. I strongly not just believe, I know everyone's purpose on this earth is to serve, help, and support each other. And how you do it may vary from one person to another. I use the tool of speaking, training, and coaching. Now, someone might turn around and say, but you get paid for it. I also do pro bonos. I also do free stuff. I create a lot of content so people who cannot afford it, they have that available. And I do my best never to say no to anyone. For example, I had someone a couple of weeks ago, they wanted to do a talk. They did not have the budget to take my coaching sessions. I sat down with them. I said, this is what I usually charge for my coaching sessions. Okay. And I'm being very open with you. This is you tell me what is that you can afford. And the reason I did that is because I felt that passion, that want, they wanted to learn. And so I did not mind reducing my rates significantly. On the other hand, I've done it for free as well. So Are you serving someone? Are you supporting someone? Are you helping someone? And it could be someone, just your neighbor, or it could be the gardener who comes in your house, or the window cleaner, or the maid, or someone who's taking care of the building, your apartment building. It could be start from the smallest of things. Unfortunately, we confuse purpose with goals, with objectives. Life, I need to achieve this, I need to achieve that, I need to do that. So my question always arises on that time is, how come most of the most wise people in our culture, and this is across the globe, and you can look at our history as well, how come a lot of them, we go to these peers or we go to a saintly person, they're not educated, but they have wisdom. They have emotional wisdom, they have intelligence, and they can communicate without even being educated. So because the essence with them is they want to serve, help, and support. So it's just once you are aware that you want to serve, help, and support, then what is the tool which you resonate with that you can use to help serve and support? In my case, it is learning and development, it's speaking, training, and coaching. And through that, I talk about compassion. That's what connects it. And that's where I see that's my purpose. That's what I would say is my ikigai. I trust that helps.
Yes, it does. And thank you so much for the questions. Thank you, everyone, for listening in, for joining us on the live and also later on the replay. Thank you once again, Rohit, for your time, your energy, your wisdom, and your compassion. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you, everyone, for all the wonderful questions, the interaction. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you. And yes, thank you, everybody, and have a good and a great rest of the day, wherever you are. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Bye.